Welcome to part 2 of Sculptured Wave Crochet. In part 1 we did the 12 stitch repeat that makes the basic wave stitch, and we were working on the front loop of the previous row. So if we turn to the back, you can see that the back loops are still here ready to be worked. I'm coming up to the end of the row and we're going to do the last stitch, then do a turning chain and move on to the HDC, half double crochet, in the front loop row. So the basic structure is you do a wave stitch, then a HDC row, a wave stitch row and a HDC row. So we're coming up to the end of the wave row. Now you can see here I've got the last stitch here, and I put a little black thread in the back loop there because that'll help us start the next row. You don't need to do this, but for the purposes of the video I put that little thread there. So putting my hook in, I'm going to do my front loop slip stitch, and then I'm going to do a chain to turn, and then I'm turning my work around to start the next row. Now you can see this back loop here is now our front loop. And you can see the black thread going through it, and it's also gone through the slip stitch, but it's basically there. So I'm now going to do HDC stitches, half double crochet stitches, in these now front loops. So the first one you might find you need to do a little bit sideways, but they get easier once you've got a few on the hook. So it's yarn over hook, hook through the fabric, yarn over hook, pull it through the fabric again, and then yarn over hook and pull it through all three to make our half double crochet. Now let me just pull that black thread out because it's served its purpose. It marked that first stitch, and that first stitch is key in getting the sequence right for the rest of the crochet. So I've done one HDC. In the next front loop I'm going to do another. So I've gone yarn over hook, hook through the fabric, just that single front loop, and then yarn over hook, pull it through the fabric. Got 3 on the hook, yarn over hook and pull it through all 3. And I'm going to do that again in the next stitch. And again in the next stitch. And again. So I have made a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 HDC. Now I'm going to make the slip stitch. Now this slip stitch doesn't go around the whole treble, it actually just goes into a single loop, and it goes about the same height as the HDC. So you slip your hook in to just one loop of the fabric there, yarn over hook and pull it through both. Now the important thing here is that we skip one of these front loops down the bottom so that we don't end up with extra stitches. So we're going to make our next HDC not in this loop here, but in this loop here. So yarn over hook, yarn through that loop, yarn over hook and pull it through all 3 for our HDC. And when you come back and look at this, you can see HDC, HDC, gap. See that little loop there that's missing the HDC, and then there's the next HDC. So that's the thing you want to look for. And you can see in this larger section of crochet, I'm showing you the back here, and those slip stitches actually form a diagonal ladder down the back of the fabric. So you know that things are lining up when you see this pattern of skipped front loops where you've got the slip stitch in above. Having skipped that loop under the slip stitch, I'll now go back to do a HDC in the next loop, And so yarn over hook, hook through the fabric, yarn over hook, and pull it through all 3. And I continue to do this for a total of 11 front loop half double crochet between each wave peak. It's always 11 between the wave peaks, but the number of HDC at the beginning and the end of the row varies because each row the wave peak moves 1 stitch to the left, and so the HDC follows similarly, varying in the number. So now if I look for the last slip stitch with that crossbar, I count across, I've got a total of 11 HDC, so it's time to make the slip stitch in the next wave peak. So hook into just 1 yarn of the treble and then yarn over hook and pull it through both to form my slip stitch, and then I skip the next front loop and put the stitch into the following loop and then make my HDC, and then I continue on like that to the end of the row.